There comes a moment in life when your current version is no longer enough. The talent, discipline, and habits that brought you here cannot take you to where you're going. Success is not loyal. It doesn't care what you achieved yesterday. It only responds to who you are willing to become today. If you want the next level, you need to outgrow the old version of yourself. You need sharper focus, deeper sacrifice, and a hunger that no comfort zone can satisfy. Every new level of greatness demands a new you. And if you're not willing to reinvent yourself, someone hungrier will take your spot. Obsession is the fire that separates the great from the average, the unstoppable from the easily satisfied. Most people aim to be good, some even aim to be excellent, but only a rare few are obsessed enough to rewrite what's possible. To reach your next level, you must look at your life and say, this is not enough. Not in a way that makes you ungrateful, but in a way that ignites a hunger to go beyond what others even think is realistic. That's what obsession does. It shifts your standards from good enough to not even close. Imagine the mindset of someone who has already reached the peak of their profession, who has already broken records, lifted trophies, or achieved financial success, yet still wakes up at dawn, pushing their body and mind to the absolute limit, as if they were still a rookie trying to prove themselves. That mentality is rare because obsession isn't glamorous. It's not about inspiration quotes or Instagram highlights. It's about sacrifice, discipline, and a relentless drive that never lets you settle. Think of the stories of champions who achieved greatness not because they were naturally the most gifted, but because they refused to stop working. There's a legendary tale of an athlete who, after winning a major tournament, went back to training the very next morning. Reporters and fans were celebrating. His name was on every headline, and yet he was in the gym, dripping in sweat, working like nothing had happened. Why? Because obsession doesn't allow complacency. When you're obsessed, the applause of others doesn't satisfy you. It reminds you of the next level you have yet to reach. That's the difference between the good and the unstoppable. Most people hit a goal and relax. Obsessed people hit a goal and see it as proof they can push further. This mindset isn't just for athletes or business moguls. It applies to every dreamer. If you want to write a book, obsession means you don't write when you feel inspired. You write every single day until your words bleed onto the page. If you're building a business, obsession means you study your craft, your industry, and your competitors so deeply that others can't keep up. If you're chasing a personal transformation, obsession means you wake up earlier, train harder, eat cleaner, and fight through every excuse until progress becomes inevitable. Obsession forces you to elevate your standards because you can't settle for mediocrity when you've trained yourself to crave excellence. The truth is, the world is full of talented people who never made it because they weren't obsessed enough. Talent gets you started, but obsession keeps you moving when everything in you wants to quit. Obsession pushes you to stay late, wake up early, and repeat the grind when no one is watching. And here's the thing, people will call you crazy for it. They'll say you're too intense, too serious, too focused, but that's the price of greatness. Every innovator, every legend, every icon who changed the game had a season where they were misunderstood. Obsession is lonely because few people are willing to live at that level. But if you're willing to embrace it, obsession will make you unstoppable. Think about a kid from a small town with nothing but a ball and a dream. While his friends are out partying, he's practicing alone under streetlights. When others are sleeping, he's training in the cold, running drills until his legs ache. People laugh, they doubt, they call him unrealistic. But years later, that same kid is standing on the biggest stage, living the dream he refused to let go of. That's the power of obsession. It turns doubt into fuel and pain into progress. Most people see obstacles as a sign to stop. The obsessed see them as proof they're on the right path. If you want your next level, you have to stop treating your goals like hobbies. Too many people talk about their dreams as if they are optional. They work when it's convenient, when they're motivated, or when life isn't too stressful. That's not obsession. That's casual effort. Casual effort never creates extraordinary results. The next version of you must develop tunnel vision. You must commit to showing up when it's raining, when you're tired, when you're broke, and when nobody is clapping for you. Obsession isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's about doing the hard things so often that it becomes who you are. Let's be honest, obsession is uncomfortable. It will require sacrifice. You'll miss out on nights out, you'll lose people who don't understand your grind, and you'll have days where you question everything. But that's the price for living at a higher level. Success is expensive, and obsession is the currency. If it were easy, everyone would do it. But it's not meant for everyone. It's meant for those who refuse to settle for average. The question is, are you willing to pay the price? Are you willing to put in so much work that people think you're crazy? Because history shows us something important. Those who are crazy enough to stay obsessed are the ones who make it. When you choose recession, you become unstoppable because you no longer compete with others. You compete with yourself. Every day becomes a chance to beat the version of you from yesterday. That's the real secret. When your obsession is personal growth, you don't need external motivation. You don't need someone to remind you of your goals. Because your vision consumes you, your obsession becomes your identity, and your actions align with that identity naturally. When you live like this, there's no next level you can't reach. So ask yourself, are you satisfied with where you are, or are you ready to become obsessed with where you're going? Because your next level isn't waiting for your excuses. It's waiting for your evolution. Stop lowering your dreams to match your effort. Start raising your effort to match your dreams. And if you truly want to reach your full potential, don't just work harder, get obsessed. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. And the truth is, it's built on days when you feel like doing anything but the work. Motivation is fleeting. It's like a spark. It burns bright for a moment. But if there's no wood to catch it, the fire dies. Discipline is that wood. It's the fuel that keeps the flame alive even when your emotions try to snuff it out. There will be mornings when you wake up tired, when your body aches, when your mind whispers excuses telling you to rest, to take it easy, to push it off until tomorrow. But greatness is built in those exact moments. The moments when discipline speaks louder than feelings. You won't always feel inspired, and that's okay, because feelings are unreliable. If you rely on motivation alone, you'll never make it. The best in the world didn't get there because they felt like working every day. They got there because they decided to work no matter what. Think of a champion training after a devastating loss. There is no applause, no cameras, no cheering crowd, just pain and sweat. Motivation would tell them to take a break, to heal, to step back for a while. But discipline says, show up anyway. This is what separates the good from the great. The ability to keep going even when no one is watching. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It only cares about your commitment to the goal. Every rep, every page written, every late night studying, every early morning training session, it all compounds day after day, creating an unstoppable momentum that motivation alone could never sustain. Most people misunderstand discipline. They think it's about being strict or rigid. But really, discipline is freedom. It gives you control over your future, because you're no longer a slave to your emotions. Discipline says, I will do this because it's who I am, not because I feel like it today. That mindset is where transformation begins. You don't need to be motivated to wake up at 5 a.m. and hit the gym. You need discipline to remind you why you're doing it in the first place. You don't need motivation to save money, to study for hours, or to practice your craft until you master it. You need discipline to see beyond today's comfort to tomorrow's reward. Take the story of a young athlete who wasn't the most talented on his team. In fact, he was often overlooked, benched, and doubted. But what he lacked in natural ability, he made up for in relentless discipline. While others were partying, he was training. While his teammates slept in, he was running sprints in the rain. Years later, when those same teammates had given up on their dreams, this once overlooked athlete had carved a name for himself as one of the best in the game. The transformation didn't happen because he suddenly became motivated. It happened because discipline turned him into someone who outworked everyone around him. Motivation is a spark, but sparks are inconsistent. One day you'll wake up fired up, ready to conquer the world. and the next day you'll feel like doing nothing. If you allow those emotions to dictate your actions, you'll live a life of inconsistency. Discipline doesn't waver like that. Discipline builds routines and systems that work even on your worst days. Think of a musician practicing scales for hours every day, even when they're exhausted, even when they'd rather be doing something else. It's not glamorous, it's not exciting, but that discipline is why they can step onto a stage and deliver perfection under pressure. It's easy to do something when you're motivated. Anyone can go to the gym on January 1st with a fresh wave of excitement. Anyone can start a business when they're inspired by a new idea. But how many can keep going when the excitement fades, when the grind feels heavy, when success seems miles away? That's where discipline shows its true power. Discipline is what gets you through the plateau, the boredom, the setbacks. It's what keeps you on track when no one else is cheering for you. Discipline is the quiet commitment that says I'll keep going until I win, even if I have to do it alone. Some days, discipline will feel like a battle with yourself. You'll have to fight the voice in your head that says, you've done enough, or take a break, you deserve it. And yes, rest is necessary, but there's a difference between rest and quitting. Discipline knows that difference. It's the reason some people make their dreams reality while others are still talking about them years later. Discipline doesn't care if it's cold outside, if you're tired, or if nobody else is working. It's a decision, a commitment, a promise you make to yourself that you refuse to break. When you master discipline, you stop negotiating with your excuses. You don't wake up and ask, do I feel like doing this today? You just do it because it's part of who you are. And once that mindset becomes second nature, you gain a power that most people will never know. That's why the greats always seem unstoppable. It's not that they never feel tired or uninspired. They just refuse to let those feelings decide their future. Picture a boxer training for a championship fight. He's sore, bruised, and exhausted from endless rounds of sparring, but he doesn't stop. Not because he's motivated every day, but because his discipline is stronger than his pain. He knows that every punch thrown in a gym will pay off when he's under the bright lights. That's what discipline does. It allows you to invest effort today and reap rewards tomorrow. It's delayed gratification at its finest. And it's why the most disciplined people often live lives that others envy.
If you want your next level, you must stop relying on fleeting bursts of inspiration. Motivation might get you started, but discipline is what will carry you through when the excitement dies down, when obstacles appear, and when you're tempted to quit. Discipline turns dreams into reality. Not because it's easy, but because it forces you to do the hard things consistently. The path to success isn't built on hype, it's built on habits. Every day that you choose discipline over comfort, you build strength, resilience, and confidence.
Your next level won't come because you were motivated a few times. It will come because you built a life where discipline is your default setting. And when you reach that point, when you're able to work hard no matter how you feel, you become unstoppable. You'll no longer be swayed by emotions or circumstances because discipline has made you unbreakable. That's the level you should aim for. Not just doing the work when you feel like it, but becoming the kind of person who gets it done regardless. That's how dreams are built. That's how legacies are made. That's how you become the person your future self will thank. Pressure is the ultimate test of character. It has a way of exposing who you truly are when the spotlight is on you. When the weight of expectations feels like it's crushing your chest, and when every eye is watching, waiting to see if you'll crumble or rise. Pressure is not something to run from. It's the greatest privilege you can ever earn. It means that someone believes you are capable of more, that you have set a standard so high that people now expect greatness from you. And here's the truth. Pressure is not your enemy. It's the signal that you are exactly where you're supposed to be, at the edge of your comfort zone, standing in the place where growth happens. You don't grow in the easy moments. You grow in the moments where your back is against the wall and quitting looks easier than pushing forward. Picture an athlete stepping onto the field with millions of people watching, cameras in every direction, the entire world ready to celebrate or criticize their next move. In that moment, their hands might tremble, their heart might pound, but what makes them a champion is their ability to take all that pressure and convert it into focus, energy, and determination. Pressure becomes fuel. It sharpens their mind and heightens their senses. They're not thinking about failure because they've trained too hard to let that fear consume them. That's the beauty of pressure. It either breaks you or it builds you, and you get to decide which one it will be. Think of pressure like gravity. It's heavy, yes, but that weight makes you stronger. Diamonds are formed under immense pressure. They are created in conditions so intense that they transform into something rare and unbreakable. Your potential works the same way. Without pressure, you remain average, untouched, and untested. It's the pressure that reveals the greatness you didn't even know you had. Most people run from it. They hide in comfort, afraid of being judged or failing. But the truth is, if you avoid pressure, you avoid growth. If you're willing to stand in that heat, however, you'll discover strength that others never will. There's a powerful story of a young player who entered the biggest match of his life, carrying the hopes of his entire country on his shoulders. Everyone doubted him, said he was too young, too inexperienced, that the moment would be too big for him. But instead of letting that pressure paralyze him, he let it elevate him. He played with a fire that shocked the world and proved that pressure doesn't have to crush you. It can unlock a level you didn't know existed. That's the difference between those who succeed and those who fall apart. It's not talent, it's not luck, it's the ability to rise when everything is on the line. Pressure can feel overwhelming, but what if instead of fearing it, you learn to expect it? What if you started seeing it as proof that you're on the right path? The fact that you feel pressure means you're pushing your limits, taking risks, stepping into arenas most people are too afraid to enter. That's where greatness lives. Every high performer in history, athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, leaders, they all faced moments where the pressure was unbearable, and yet they embraced it. They trained for it. They conditioned themselves so deeply that when those moments came, they didn't flinch. Training yourself to thrive under pressure starts with preparation. The reason the best don't break is because they've already put themselves through worse in training. They've built mental resilience by working when nobody's watching, by rehearsing until every move is second nature, by visualizing the moment so many times that when it finally arrives, they feel at home in it. That's why you see some people look calm when everything is on the line. It's not because they are nervous, it's because they've already been there in their mind. They've embraced the weight of expectation and learned to carry it with pride. The truth is, pressure will either expose your weaknesses or highlight your strengths. And that's why it's so powerful. It's an honest matter. It will show you where you are not ready. It will show you the cracks in your preparation, the holes in your mindset, the areas you need to grow. That's not something to fear. That's something to embrace. If you're willing to face pressure head on, you can use it as your greatest teacher. Every mistake, every stumble under pressure is just feedback, a blueprint to help you get stronger. The key is not to run from those moments, but to seek them out, to chase environments that challenge you and force you to evolve. Imagine being so comfortable under pressure that others crumble in situations where you thrive. That's what separates the elite from the average. When the lights are brightest, when the clock is ticking, when everything is on the line, most people's instincts are to retreat with a great step forward because they've rewired their relationship with pressure. To them, it's not something to fear. It's a sign that they're alive, that they're exactly where they're supposed to be. Pressure becomes a signal to lock in, not back out. That's what your next level demands, a willingness to lean into pressure instead of escaping it. When you feel that tension, that weight of expectation, that's not a sign to stop, that's a sign you're doing something that matters. Nobody feels pressure doing something meaningless. You only feel it when you're playing at a level that counts. And that feeling, that rush, is proof you're stepping into greatness. Think about the time you were terrified, nervous, and unsure, yet you pushed through and succeeded. How powerful did you feel after? That's because pressure, once conquered, becomes confidence. Every time you face it, you build belief in yourself, and that belief compounds. So situations that once intimidated you will feel like home because you've mastered them. That's how you turn pressure into power. It's not about eliminating fear or nerves, it's about walking into the room, electrifying and realizing you can handle it. So the next time you feel pressure, remind yourself that it's a privilege. It means you're trusted to deliver. It means you've worked hard enough to be in a position where expectations are high. Don't shy away from that. Rise to meet it. Pressure will never disappear at higher levels. It will only grow, but so will you. If you choose to see it as a gift, every great moment of your life will come with weight attached. Carry it with pride. Let it mold you into someone who performs best when it matters most. That's when you'll know you're no longer just playing the game. You're mastering it. Reinvention is the price you pay to reach the next level of your life. Who you are today is not enough for where you're going tomorrow. And that truth can either intimidate you or set you free. Reinvention is not about becoming someone else entirely. It's about becoming the strongest, smartest, and most unstoppable version of yourself. It's about shedding habits, beliefs, and mindsets that served you in the past, but are now holding you back. The routines that once felt like progress are now your ceiling. If you want to evolve, you have to be willing to let go of the old you, even if that version of you was successful. The person you were yesterday got you here, but the person you need to become will take you further. Think of it like a champion athlete who dominates a season, but realizes that the very training methods that helped him win are no longer enough to stay on top. He studies his opponents, sees their growth, and understands that if he doesn't adapt, he'll fall behind. So he changes everything, his diet, his training schedule, his recovery, even his mindset. This is not because what he did before was wrong. It's because he refuses to let past success trap him in complacency. Reinvention requires humility, the willingness to admit that you have more to learn, more to improve, and more to transform. It's uncomfortable because you are forced to kill parts of yourself that you've outgrown. But that's what evolution demands. People often cling to their old identity because it feels safe. You've worked hard to build this version of yourself. So changing feels like betrayal, but growth always feels like betrayal to your comfort zone. Imagine a snake shedding its skin. It doesn't shed because the skin is bad. It sheds because it's outgrown. That's you. If you're serious about your next level, you can't keep wearing the same skin. You have to be willing to outgrow relationships that no longer align with your vision, habits that keep you stagnant, and environments that don't challenge you. Reinvention requires courage because you will lose people along the way. You'll outgrow friendships, routines, and ways of thinking that once defined you. But in that loss is the freedom to build a life that matches the person you're becoming. Reinvention is not just external, it's deeply internal. It's rewriting the stories you tell yourself about who you are and what you're capable of. Many people sabotage their growth because they are attached to an identity that keeps them small. They say things like, I've never been good at this, or that's just not who I am. But identity is not fixed. It's a choice. Every day you wake up, you have the opportunity to decide who you will be. You are not chained to your old patterns. The moment you realize that identity is fluid, you'll stop saying, that's just me, and start saying, that's who I used to be. That shift is the foundation of reinvention. This is a story about a once-underdog athlete who transformed into one of the greatest of all time. When he started, nobody believed in him. He wasn't naturally the strongest or the fastest, but he had something no one else did. The courage to reinvent himself year after year. While others were satisfied with being good, he obsessed over being better. He studied every weakness, broke down every mistake, and built himself from the ground up over and over. He changed his diet, his mindset, his training, even his inner circle, because he understood that each new level of success required a new version of himself. That's what reinvention looks like in action. A constant willingness to evolve, even when you're already winning. Reinvention demands sacrifice. You can't hold on to old comfort and expect new growth. You can't cling to people who doubt you and expect to soar. You can't keep habits that drain you and expect to thrive. You have to strip away everything that doesn't serve the vision of your future self. That might mean cutting out distractions, saying no to opportunities that don't align with your goals, or isolating yourself to focus on your craft. Reinvention is brutal at times, because it forces you to choose between what is easy and what is necessary. But that's the cost of evolution. Your next level will not recognize your old self. It won't reward you for the version of you that's comfortable. It will only respond to the version of you that's willing to do the work, to embrace change, and to continuously sharpen your edge. Think about technology. Every piece of software eventually needs an update. If you don't update, you can't run new programs. You can't access new opportunities. You can't function at a higher level. You are no different. If you're not constantly updating yourself, you're falling behind. Reinvention is your update, your way of staying ahead of the game. Many people fear reinvention because they worry about what others will think. What if people don't like this new version of me? What if I lose friends or disappoint someone? But here's the truth. Those who truly matter will support your growth, and those who don't are meant to come with you to your next level. Reinvention isn't about pleasing others. It's about becoming who you were always meant to be. If your growth intimidates others, that's their limitation, not yours. Your responsibility is to evolve, not to stay small for the comfort of those around you. There's a quiet power in reinvention because it doesn't happen overnight. It's a daily commitment. It's choosing every day to be 1% better, to change the narrative you've been living by, and to step into the discomfort of growth. It's waking up early to train your body when you'd rather sleep. It's reading books and studying your craft when your friends are out partying. It's being willing to look foolish as you try new things because you know you're building skills that will pay off in the future. Reinvention is a grind, but it's the grind that sets apart the elite from the average. When you fully commit to reinventing yourself, something incredible happens. You stop fearing change. Instead of resisting it, you chase it. You become addicted to growth because you've tasted what evolution feels like, and nothing else compares. You'll look back one day and barely recognize the person you used to be. And that's the goal. Your next level is waiting for the new you, not the version that is stuck in old patterns, not the version that's afraid of judgment, but the version that is willing to rise, evolve, and dominate every arena of life. Reinvention is not an option, it's the requirement for greatness. The question is, will you be brave enough to outgrow yourself? So here's the truth. Every level you've reached so far has been a direct reflection of who you've been, but where you're going will demand a completely different version of you. You won't get there by chance, and you won't get there by staying comfortable. It's gonna take obsession and unrelenting hunger to be better every single day. It's gonna take discipline, the kind that shows up even when motivation disappears. It's gonna take embracing pressure and letting it mold you into someone unshakable. And most of all, it's gonna take the courage to reinvent yourself, to burn the old version of you and rise as someone sharper, stronger, and hungrier than ever before. This is your line in the sand. No more waiting for perfect conditions. No more hiding behind excuses. The next level of your life is not gonna come down to luck. It's gonna come down to grit, sacrifice, and relentless commitment. When you walk out of here today, don't just talk about change. Become it. Outwork your old self. Outlast every obstacle. Outgrow every limit. The world isn't waiting for the person you've been, it's waiting for the person you are about to become. Step up, lock in, and own your greatness. Because your next level won't wait, and neither should you.